Yeah, I guess so. Is everybody alive? Is perhaps what I should ask. Is anybody dying of any horrible diseases at the moment? Ah, good. Okay. Is anybody going to have their house repossessed or their families being held hostage by terrorists? No, that would probably be quite a nice thing actually, wouldn't it? To have a bit of peace and quiet for a few hours. I can arrange it for a price. Okay, so this evening we're going to revise, I've forgotten already, how to express that you want somebody to do something. And then the new subject is compound verbs, which I think we'll get through pretty quickly actually, in which case I've dragged up some revision work that the Asahi group were doing this morning, and we can go back to it and do it again because it's quite complicated and it'll be a good refresher from what we did earlier. Right, let us start. We are recording, yep. Let's start with this. So this is a return to requesting. Oh, here's Roger. Just let Roger in. Hi, Roger.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So a return to requesting. So years and years ago, it feels like, we did the imperative, which is the te form. So we usually say verb plus te kudasai. Please do this verb. Remembering how to make the te form. Just turn on me a little red pointy. And we can put the request in orders of politeness. Generally in Japanese, the more words you use, the more syllables you use, the more polite the expression. So if you wanted to be really kind of direct and friendly, then you might just put the verb with the te form, ite, which is like saying go, ite, tabete, eat. You can make it a little bit softer with friends and colleagues by putting ne after it. Tabete ne, or tabete yo as well. You can also say this. And then if you want to move up a level of politeness, then verb te kure. So this comes from kuremasu, or you can say tabete kuremasu ka, tabete kuremasen ka. So gradually making it longer and more polite. And then you're all very familiar with something te kudasai. We've done this billions of times. You can make this also more polite by saying verb te kudasaimasu ka, or kudasaimasen, or kudasaimasen ka. This just increases the longer the word, the more polite it's becoming. You can replace kudasai with moraimasu. Better to make this into a question, like nonde moraimasu ka, nonde moraimasen ka, or you can ask in the potential form, nonde moraimasen ka, or moraimasu ka. Here comes Nasuka. Nasuka sounds like a Japanese question, doesn't it? Just Nasuka. Okay, so in theory, you could also replace kudasai or moraimasu ka with onegai shimasu, or onegai dekimasu ka, onegai itashimasu ka, like this. But I'll explain in a second why it's in pink. Or also even more polite, itadakimasu ka, itadakimasu ka, itadakimasu, itadakimasu ka, itadakimasen ka, itadakemasen ka. You can really make these really, really polite. So I think putting verb te and itadakemasen deshou ka is probably the longest way of making a request. However, in practice, you don't usually put a te form of a verb next to onegai shimasu or itadakimasu. These are usually put by themselves to mean please do something. If you're writing a letter, then there's nothing wrong with saying te onegai verb te onegai shimasu. But if you're speaking, it's kind of weird to put te next to onegai shimasu and itadakimasu. So this is why I've made them in pink. In principle, you can use them in writing, but in practice, in conversation, better to stick to kudasai, kudasaimasu ka, kuremasen ka, these ones around here. Any questions? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, John.
You can use onegashimasu when you want to ask for something. For example, mizu onegaishimasu or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. This is kind of reserved for actually asking for an object rather than asking for an action to be carried out.
Okay.
Yeah. これを読んでいただけませんでしょうか? If you want to be uber polite, like to your teacher, then you could use these. But in normal Japanese life, it sounds funny. You certainly wouldn't say it to somebody who works in service or to friends or family or anything like this. It's kind of, it's too polite. There are other ways to make requests and commands. One example, this will be new to you if you haven't been to this lesson yet, which is to take the mas form of the verb without the mas and put nasai after it. So iki nasai, tabe nasai, shinasai, konasai. These are all, sorry, kinasai, I should say. These are all other ways of making a slightly less polite request, but friendly nonetheless. It's more polite than saying just in the te form.
How would you translate it? How would you translate it? Is it nearly the same or?
Nasaru. So it comes from nasai, comes from nasaru. This is just a compound verb, which is something we're going to do this evening. Let me just find my dictionary. Nasaru is just basically a very polite way of saying to do. Nasaru. If you type in nasaru into your dictionaries, you'll see it just means to do.
Yes, to do.
Yeah, but this is basically suru, I think. Hang on. Suru. If you type in suru as well, yeah, the third one down, it's the same kanji. It's just that nasaru is it's just a really polite way of saying to do. So it's like saying please do eat, or please do go, please do, please do come. Yeah.
On the text underneath it, it says V5 aru, so it's group 1 and aru.
Let me just have a quick look because I'm now on a different page. Nasaru. I can't see anything. What are you using? AEDIX, David?
Yeah.
Are you looking at Nasaru?
Yeah, I don't know if this comes across, but if you see V5 aru.
Oh, that's weird. Mine doesn't have it. Maybe it's because I need to update my app. Sorry, Dave, can you just hold it to the screen again?
Oh, yep.
V5 aru.
Transitive,
sure.
honorific, uncommon.
I'll tell you what, there's one way of finding out. Let's just type it into Google. V5 aru. Japanese verbs. V5 aru. Non-volitional verbs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So aru. Sorry. Ignore that. That's not the thing. It's just saying aru is a non-volitional verb. I don't know. Actually.
Let's play around and look it up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then, if you want to, rather than saying please do this, if you want to say I want you to do this, then we have to learn a slightly different grammatical statement. So we do this by making the verb into the te form again. This is why we did te so early. We're always going to be using te, and then put hoshides. Hoshi just means I want. I am wanting of this. Te hoshides. So hoshi is an adjective, so you can inflect the statement on the adjective, not by changing the verb itself. So, for example, Tom, how would you say I want you to clean your room?
I forgot clean your hands is arau, but for clean for the room
is soji suru.
Soji suru.
Yeah.
So anata no heya o, and then you said soji shite hoshii desu.
Very good. Yes. Anata no heya o soji shite hoshii desu. Kim, how would you say I don't want you to clean your room?
Anata wa no. Anata no yasu.
So room
What was room?
is heya.
Heya. Heya. Remember it. Anata no heya o. And then I didn't pay attention enough.
Soji.
Soji shite hoshikunai desu.
Good, exactly, yes, yeah. Heya
Yeah.
o soji shite hoshikunai desu. And Kim, how would you say, I wanted you to clean your room? In the
I
past?
wanted, like,
sorry,
past tense.
sorry, beg your pardon, not Kim, Kelly, sorry.
あんたの部屋を掃除して欲しかったです。
Perfect, yes. Heya o soji shite hoshikatta desu. And David, how would you say, I didn't want you to clean your room? Sorry, David, did you hear that? You froze for a second.
Yeah, my cat just stepped on my UPS underneath my table and turned my speakers and my Wi-Fi off.
Okay, so the question was, how do you say, I didn't want you to clean your room? Did you hear the previous examples?
A couple of them.
Okay.
あなたの部屋を掃除して欲しくなかったです。
Very good, yes. Heya o soji shite hoshikunakatta desu. Excellent, good. There we go. And now just remember though that saying something te hoshi is not actually a proper request. It's a statement. So in theory, the person you're saying this to could say, oh, that's interesting. I don't want to clean my room, so I'm not going to do it. But it's a way of expressing your what you want somebody else to do. Just to make things a little bit more interesting, hoshi is actually equivalent to moraitai desu, I want to receive. So you can exactly change these around if you want to make it more polite. But most people would just say te hoshi desu. One last note. You shouldn't, just like you shouldn't say to people, ikitai desu ka? Or tabetai desu ka? You shouldn't impose yourself upon their preferences. You also shouldn't really ask somebody if they want to hoshi. Hoshi is about yourself, or you can use it for somebody else who's not there and say this person wants you to do this. But you shouldn't say directly to somebody, would you like me to do this? So for example, if you wanted to say, do you want me to pour you another cup of tea? You wouldn't say, ocha o mo ippai susoide hoshii desu ka? You would just say, ocha o mo ippai susogimashou ka? Or susogimasu ka? Or sosoide agimashou ka? Like this. Any questions, guys? Wunderbar. Right, let's you've all got this, have you, by the way, printed off and attached to a pet or a partner? Good. Yes, good. Yeah, excellent. Okay. Right, let's do some exercises. Simon, how about you'd say, I want you to go to work at 8 a.m. because that's when my lover arrives.
That's early.
They've got other people to visit during the day.
Hi. 午前8時に
午前8時に
仕事に行ってほしいです。
Yes, good. Perfect. Good. Joel, how would you say, I want you to meet my manager next month?
Manager is
Joshi.
Joshi.
Mm-hmm.
来月 私の上司を
So for ao,
と
yeah. So ao is normally ni or to.
私の上司と
Yeah.
会ってほしいです。
Very good. Yes. Good. Annika, I want you to pay the bill after we finish drinking.
Non de Ovaru? Is it a combined thing?
It is. This is today's new subject, actually. So do you remember how to combine these?
I'm not sure if it was with te.
No. So
No, it was...
this is going to break the suspense and the surprise, I'm afraid, about today's new subject. We make the mass form of the first verb.
Yeah.
Remove the mass. Nomimas. So remove the mass.
Nomi.
And then we plug in the second part of the compound.
Nomi owaru.
Owaru. And how do you say after we finish drinking then? So nomi owaru means to finish drinking, but how do you make this moment in time?
Nomi owattara.
Oh, very good. Owattara. Excellent. Perfect.
Bill was paid. Yeah, I don't really recall it. To the bill.
So you can either say biru, or
okay.
more usually you say kaike.
Okay. To pay. Yeah, and also lacking of paying.
So this is harau. Harau.
Nomi owattara kakei o.
Sorry, kaike.
Kaikei o harate oshi desu.
Good. Okay, good.
Andy, Sam?
Go ahead. Yep, those all.
I was thinking of Toki.
Yep.
And then I would Nomio Watta, Toki, and then the rest.
Yes, this is also perfectly fine. Nomio Watta Toki. Yeah,
I had the same question last Tuesday.
Yeah, you can do exactly this. This is good. Yeah. Right. Andre, I want you to read this history book.
この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
読んでほしいです。Perfect. Konstalinka, I want you to hold this while watching the pigeon.
Okay, again, nice one.
Did you get this before?
Yeah, a couple of times.
I'll tell you, let's do another one. I want you to swim to that island.
I want you to swim to that island. The island is Shima.
One more time?
Shima, the
Shima,
island.
yeah. Good.
Shima wa.
What?
Ga wa.
What?
Ni. I'm always playing Russian roulette with
with particles. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a gun where you've got 5 bullets and 1 blank.
Okay. Shima ni oyoi de hoshi desu.
Yeah, good. Hoshi desu. Good. Roger, in a very Monty Python-esque way, I want you to hold this while watching the pigeon.
So pigeon is hado.
Hato? Yeah. Hato.
Hato or Mie.
Not mie, but this is while watching. So what's the verb, the plain form to watch? Or the mass form?
Just mimas?
Mimas. Yeah, exactly. Mimas. But as this is while watching, what would you do to mimas to make it a while?
Mita?
No, it's to do something at the same time as something else is minagara. Minagara. Yeah.
Hato minagara. Kore wa.
Not wa. It's not wa. It's kore. You're going to do something to something, aren't you? So this would be kore.
Or.
Good.
Hold morale.
It's motsu. Motsu. Mm-hmm.
So is
into the T form?
Yeah, I was just trying to remember what the T line turns into.
So if matsu is wait, how do you say please wait?
Mate.
Mate. So motsu would be
motte.
Motte. Yeah.
Motte. Hoshii desu.
Yes. Good. Exactly. Nazca, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Let's do every day. I want you to be at your desk at 9 a.m.
Every day, 毎日 I wasn't there. 毎日 I want to.
So do you remember the word for desk? What this was?
No.
No, this is skue.
I don't remember.
Skue.
毎日机で
skue something. Okay.
机に
Okay. Yeah.
毎日机に、あなたの or
you don't really need to use anata here.
机に、you
Which verb do you think you would use here to be? I'll give you 3 seconds.
I don't really know how to do it because I wasn't there last week.
Oh, okay. Right. So we need to make iru, which is the verb to be, imas, to be, into the te form. So this would be
ite.
Is it ite or just ite?
Ite.
Yeah, ite. And then
毎日机に、毎日机にいて、9時。
So actually, kuji we're going to put somewhere here actually.
毎日
kuji ni.
9時に、机にいて、欲しいです。
Yeah, exactly. Just this. 欲しいです. Good. Kim, go ahead.
To be somewhere, isn't that like you're if you're swimming in the sea, then you say umi de oyoi. So why being somewhere is it not de and ni?
Sure. So for all stative movement verbs, so this would be iru, aru, iku, kaeru, kuru, motoru, and it also includes ao, and hanasu, just because these have directions to speak to somebody or to meet with somebody. The objective to where you're doing something to is marked with ni. So it's just an artifact of the language that for to be for living objects and to be for non-living objects, they are marked with ni.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're doing something somewhere, if there's an activity happening at a place, then this is de. Yeah. It's just something we have to get used to, that direction and the existence of things is marked with ni. Yeah. Okay. ナスカさん、目はどうですか？痛いですか？
Just a bit.
Does it? Okay. ちょっとだけ. Okay, let's read these guys before we do another quick round. So, 午前8時に仕事に行ってほしいです。
午前8時に仕事に行ってほしいです。
来月私の上司と会ってほしいです。
来
月私の上司と会ってほしいです。
飲み終わったら会計を払ってほしいです。
飲み終わったら会計を払ってほしいです。
Sorry, I should just add to this, guys, as I said to the class this morning. When we do this reading practice, while I'm reading it in Japanese, can you just make sure that you've read to make sure you understood what the English is? Otherwise, it's just repeating stuff for the sake of repeating it. So it's important to remember the meaning while you're saying it. So in your head, you're saying something while you're reading it in Japanese. Otherwise, it's difficult to create the links in your memory. この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
この歴史の本を読んでほしいです。
鳩を見ながらこれを持ってほしいです。
鳩を見ながらこれを持ってほしいです。
毎日9時に机に行ってほしいです。
毎日9時に机に行ってほしいです。
Excellent. Good. Okay. Let's just get rid of this. And let's just mute Tom. And let's go back to Tom. Sorry, Tom, you have to come back now. I want you to eat all of your carrots.
すべての
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
の人参
Yep.
を食べてほしいです。
Good. 欲しいです。 Oh, sorry. We're just going to take a little diversion, guys, for two verbs which sound like each other to help you to remember them. And they are one of them is the one that Roger just had problems with. To hold. Let's do this in Japanese first. Motsu and matsu. So motsu means to hold something, and matsu means to almost in a similar way. You can remember this is to hold on, to wait. And they sound a little bit similar, and the kanjis are also quite similar, aren't they, Andre? Motsu and matsu.
I think it's that radical that's different.
Yeah, just that, isn't it? So this is te, isn't it, here? And this is road, isn't it, or foot? It's the it's the bit of iku, isn't it? The left side of iku. It means crossroads, doesn't it?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
Okay. That's it. Actually, in original Chinese, it's not even this character, is it? Radical.
Okay, it's called the Teki ratico.
Yeah, tatazumu.
Tatazu.
So what does tatazumu mean? Oh, stop, linger, loiter, going man, radical. Cool. So I always think of this as being, I mean, this is just a stupid mnemonic, really, to remember this. The stuff on the right here, the things which are both common with these, this is the character for temple, or terra. I'm not saying there's actually originally any connection between them, but nowadays, the way these are written, this is a temple, and this is the temple on the right here. So for motsu, to hold something, you go to the temple and you hold something as a ceremony. So on the left, we've got the character for hand, and on the right, it's got the temple. And then underneath, for matsu, I think about there being a crossroads next to the temple where people wait. So it just helps me to memorize how to write the kanji more than anything else. Okay, Kim. I want you to talk to, actually, let's not do, yeah, okay, let's do this one. I want you to talk to Susan, even though she's boring.
I was trying to, even though I found tatoe,
You don't,
I'm not sure about it.
You can reflect an even though with something like noni or keredomo or ga. You don't have to put anything exotic in there. You can say,
okay.
She's boring, but I want you to talk to her.
Okay. Kanojo wa o ga taikutsu.
Yeah, so this means taikutsu means boredom rather than boring. So I would use sumaranai. Sumaranai.
Oh, damn.
Sorry.
I saw that one. It's on my AE dict, but
yeah, it's a good word actually. It does mean it's if you want to say boredom, you can't use sumaranai for this. You have to use taikutsu.
And there is another one, tsumanai.
Tsumanai. Yeah, it's just a shortening of tsumaranai.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, kanojo ga tsumaranai ga.
Yep.
Susan san to hanashite hoshii desu.
Very good. Yes. Okay. So just something to think about, guys. I'm going to ask you a question about this one. What would be the difference, do you think, between ga here and noni?
No idea.
So noni means even though.
Oh, damn.
Can anybody sort of get a sense as to what the difference is between these two sentences and why you should use the latter one?
Even though.
Go on, Constantine.
If we were using kanojo wa tsumaranai ga Susan to hanashite, I would have thinking that it's a comparison between the action and the, like, even though she's boring, it just focusing on the subject more likely. But with the nonis, I don't know. Noni, it's just directly, even though noni. We did it this morning, so
didn't we use noni to express two things that could be antagonistical, like even though even though she's boring, I still wanted to talk to her.
Exactly. This is the kind of difference in the sentence, really. Like you said, these are two what you're expressing, that these are two antagonistic matters. One is to say she's boring, but I know it's like saying, I know it's cruel to ask you to talk to her because she's boring, but I still want you to do it. This is what you would be implying by using noni. It's like saying this is going with this direction, but sorry, I'm asking you to do it in this direction. Whereas ga as but, it just sounds like, she's boring. Go and throw a pen at your face. Go and talk to her. So it's kind of, this one sounds a little bit cruel to the person you're talking to the person you're making this request to, whereas this one is expressing some kind of acknowledgement that you wouldn't normally ask this person you're talking to go and talk to somebody boring, but please, she is boring, but all the same, please speak to her. Yeah, that's the kind of subtle difference between ga and noni. Okay, good.
The same with demo.
Demo, yeah, demo is perhaps a little bit less reflective than noni. So demo is a little bit more like ga, really, in terms of its acknowledgement of the opposition of factors.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah.
Yes. It's only though, but not even though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and
yeah.
tutsu?
Zutsu?
Tutsu.
Tutsu? That's a dress that ballerinas wear, isn't it?
That's while, even though, despite.
Ah, right. This goes. This is usually set as a compound with a verb, actually. I haven't really heard this being, even though it says common on A dict. I've only seen it written once in a book, and that was to talk. It was put at the end of a verb to make it while, as a while kind of thing. It's not, even though it says common, it's not really common, as far as I've barely heard it being used. Yeah.
I'll correct it with my pen.
On the phone, yeah.
Otherwise, in this case, we can always use Marcheron.
Marcheron. Okay. Sorry, who did this one? Oh, that was you, wasn't it, Kim? Kelly, I want you to tell me where you went yesterday. You cheating bastard. Is how it's going to finish.
昨日、どこにいた？
Very good.
昨日どこにいたを話してほしいです。
So to tell, if you said hanashite, this would be understood.
Okay.
But what we actually want here is either a word which means to tell or to say.
言う?
Yep, you is good.
言って?
Yep, 言って.
欲しいです。
Yes, good. 欲しいです. Sorry, Amanda's just posted in Andy's Japanese corner. I'm trying to see what she said. In case she's... Not sure why she's posting on that online. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you could also have in place of yutte, if you really want to have a word which means tell, this is tsutaeru, and some of you may recognize the kanji. Tsutaeru. This is the apart from Andre, does anybody recognize this?
Yes. Transmit, tell.
Yeah. What's it normally pronounced? Yeah, den, exactly. Yeah, it means den.
It's a person, the radicals, it's a person, and the say or transmission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just see it as a person in a gigantic phone with a handset.
So it's pronounced den in the Chinese reading, and this is the same as what's in Shinden, Jikiden, Shoden, Chuden, Okuden, etc. It's the same den, means the telling or the transmission. Yeah.
So you can use tsutaeru and iu for to tell. It's the same. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So Kelly, this was good. The construction of doing this kind of putting something in a subclause in this case, doko ni itta, and then we have to no o yutte hoshii desu. I want don't ask me to explain too much about this. We'll get this by experience.
Sorry, it's ite, not yute, right?
Sorry. Yutte. So if you're writing it, it should be ite. If you're saying it, you can say yutte to make a distinction between you and iku, because iku and you are both ite.
Oh, okay.
Can I just ask because I'm kind of mixing everything up. If you use hanasu, it's more than to talk, or
yeah, it means to speak and to have a conversation, which
okay.
You would be understood, but it's not quite the same thing as just saying tell me or say to me what you said, rather than speak to me about something. So if you want to ask somebody to explain a subject, then you'd probably use hanashite. But if you want somebody to describe one single thing or a point or a fact, then yutte is probably better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for example, if you wanted to say, please tell me the time, ima nanji daka o yutte kudasai. It's just one thing. Yeah. Okay, David, I want you to say if this hurts. Brace yourself, guys.
Oh. So it'll be taite as well.
Yeah. Or yutte.
Kore ga itakereba tsutaete hoshii desu.
Good. Tsutaete hoshii desu. Yeah, good. Cool. Simon, I want you to. Oh, you've done this one. I want you to pour another cup of tea.
Right. Tea is cha. No. Or no, wait. We had the cups. The cups was high, right?
Good. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Mo ipai would be one more.
Ipai. Yeah.
Ocha mo ipai o. Sosoide hoshii desu.
Very good. Excellent. Good. I always get a little bit, when I was learning how to say things like something or more ipai and then do something to it, there's so many different ways of saying this, like ocha no mo ipai is also fine, and ocha or more ipai, and then I thought, well, do we need another or here? Actually, the simplest way to say this, another something, please do, is it's the last one I just did actually, ocha or more ipai, and then you don't need another particle. You can just put the verb here. So in any situation, if you want to say, for example, another plate of sushi o more, what's the counter for more ichimai? As just as a plate, for example, more ichimai tsukutte kudasai, for example. So the thing that you're asking for is marked with or, and then the more ipai can be just or the more ichimai or more ipon. You can just make this as a kind of adverb sentence.
Yeah. I was just thinking, it looks like an adverb.
It does. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let me just write this in here. More ipai. Oh. And then Joel, I want you to study harder in the summer before the exams.
Natsu no shikemae motto benkyou shite hoshii desu.
Motto benkyou shite hoshii desu. Yeah, good. Cool. Yeah, if you make something into a noun, like Natsu no shiken, the summer exams, you can choose whether or not to put mai or no mai. Putting mai before it means kind of prior to the summer exams. If you put no mai there, it means before the summer exams. The meaning is the same. So this no is optional. Yeah, cool. Any questions, guys? Should we quickly read through these then? So as I say again, just try to memorize, try and understand what you're saying before you read it out. Subete no ninjin o tabete hoshii desu.
すべての
す
人
べての人参を
食べてほしいです。
彼女がつまらないのに、スーザンと話してほしいです。
彼女
彼
が
女が
つまらないのに、スーザンと
話してほしいです。
昨日どこに行ったのを言ってほしいです。
昨日ど
どこにいたのを言ってほしいです。
Just the point that the meaning of this no here is the same as ka, where you went to. どこに行ったかを you can say this as well. 昨日どこに行ったかを言ってほしいです。はい、どうぞ。
昨日
昨日どこに行ったかを言ってほしいです。
これが痛ければ伝えてほしいです。
これが
これが痛ければ伝えてほしいです。
あの島に泳いでほしいです。
あの
あの島においでほしいです。
お茶をもう一杯注いでほしい。
お茶を注いでほしいです。
夏の試験前、もっと勉強してほしいです。
夏の試験
前もっと勉強してほしいです。
Just so that we don't strip out all of the grammar and formality from our Japanese, I would say, it's probably better to have mae ni in this case, though, just to mark it as a time. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's move on to today's subject.
with no or ka or. Is there have we done that in the past, or is there a lesson on it?
No, we're nibbling on it really, because it's a bit like yawny. It's such a massive, flexible subject, and it can be done in so many different ways that I haven't really got my head around how to do it in one easy kind of lesson, really. But let me just explain the difference between what we've done before and this particular thing. So, for example, we've previously done things where we've made a subclause, blah blah, and then said to omoimasu, or another example might be blah blah to iimashita. So, for example, blah blah might be in this case it might be something like ashita ame ga furu to omoimasu. So this is just saying I think tomorrow it will rain. This can go in this blah blah bit here. Or Kim-san wa tensai da to iimashita. Now he's going to start looking through his dictionary. What does tensai mean? Does it mean baka? Yeah, genius, right? Sorry, Kim-san wa sara arai ni wa tensai da. He's a genius at washing the dishes. So in this case, we're using to. Now this means, how can I explain this? This is just isolating the thing and then you're commenting on it. But if you want to do something with this thing inside here, then, for example, tell me what you did, then this is actually doing something to that subclause. So, for example, nani o shita ka, this is the subclause, or yutte kudasai, please tell me what you did. So this is now actually doing something to that stuff in that subclause. So we need to mark it with an or in this case, not a to. If you were to say nani o shita ka to yutte kudasai, then the other person would respond by saying nani o shita ka, because you're basically saying please say these words. Yeah.
That subclause is more in the range of a full sentence.
Subclauses basically are full sentences just drop down into their into the basic level, into the plain form. Yeah. So this is a really good rule actually for understanding how to make a subclause. Is you basically make the whole sentence and then just drop it down to the plain form, and then you've got a self-contained sentence. For example, please tell me where you would like to go tomorrow. Okay. So this is please tell me. This is the actual verb that you're expressing. Please tell me. And then this here, of course, is a subclause. You're asking them to tell you this information. So again, we would just make a subclause and say, Ashita, doko ni ikitai ka. Something like this. Depends who you're saying this to. Doko ni ikitai ka. Oops. Then please tell me, o tsutai ete kudasai. So here we've got a subclause that says, tomorrow, where do you want to go? You could say this in a casual situation. You could just say this, like you could actually just say this, doko ni ikitai ka. This is a question by itself, or doko ni iku ka. And then you're actually saying, but please tell me this. Please tell me where you want to go.
Thank you very much.
That's okay, you're welcome. I'm going to sit here and wait until Kim goes, okay, I've got it.
I am a little confused because here you are using the tai for another person.
Sorry, it was just an example. If you were saying this to a child, then you could say this. If you're saying it to an adult, then you would say, Ashita doko ni ikou ka, or something like this. To o tsutai kudasai.
Yeah, I'm imagining me asking my Japanese sensei if he wants another beer.
Okay, so let's just look at how to actually state these then. So if you're actually going to say to them, for example, where do you want to go tomorrow?
Where we want to eat tomorrow, or where go tomorrow. Yeah.
Sure. So please tell me where you would like to where you would like to eat tomorrow. Ashita. Okay. So Kim, let's gradually nibble through this. Where, not doko ni, but doko.
Doko de.
Doko de?
Because she wanted to eat.
Yeah.
Tabeyo ka?
So maybe to speak in kind of, to avoid being invasive in your question. Iku tsumori. Doko de taberu tsumori? This is a difficult one actually.
I wanted to use sukida.
Asking somebody. I mean, actually, Tom, what you'd probably ask if you're asking your teacher where he would like to eat, probably the thing you would first say is, what would you like to eat? What do you want to eat tomorrow? What food do you like? So, dono ryori ga suki desu ka? And then you find the place and you take them to it. You don't need to actually say. But if you gave them maybe some information, let's think about maybe they know a little bit about the tourism in the area. And you want to say, well, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to the museum, or do you want to go to the slaughterhouse, for example? Maybe it's that kind of person.
Brewery.
Or brewery, yeah. Doko ni, again, probably doko ni ikou ka. Doko ni iku. Doko ni iku. Chotto matte. Doko ni ikou ka is probably better. It's the same one as above. Doko ni ikou ka o tsutai kudasai. This is okay actually. This means where shall we go? Please tell me where we shall go. And if you're going with them, then you can use ikimashouka. Ikoka in this context of putting it in a subtext, in a subtext. Yeah. Of course, what you'd much easier to say is this: Ashita doko ni ikimashou ka? Or if they were going by themselves, then you just say Ashita doko ni ikimasu ka? You just ask them the question. Yeah. Okay.
Andy-san? Does it matter if you use the tai form or the yo form, so ikitai or iko? Does it depend on who you're talking to, or?
Basically, yes. If for tai, for example, it's not usual that you ask somebody else ikitai desu ka, tabetai desu ka, because this is seen to be a little bit invasive, asking them their intention. Better to just say doko ni ikimasu ka, doko nani o tabemasu ka. If you're talking to a child, it's not a big problem. If you want to say, if you're looking after your child and you say, do you want to go to the toilet? You can say toire ni ikitai desu ka. This is fine.
Okay.
But saying it to an adult, it would be a bit strange to use tai form with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's go on to this slides. Right, sorry, there's no builds because I like to throw this together very quickly on Tuesday morning. Just move you guys over here. So we're on the subject of compound verbs, which we've already done a little bit of, especially during the Sunday sessions. These are called fukugo doshi, just in case you want to know. I didn't remember that. I had to look it up. And it means verbs doing verbs to other verbs. Sounds like a nature program when animals are getting frisky.
It's a poison, like fugu.
Fuku da yo. Fuku.
Fuguko. Poisonous verb.
So one more time, desu ka? Yeshirasu desu ka?
It have to be poisonous verbs.
Fukugo doshi. That would be fugu.
Hi.
Hi. So
it looks like a Monty Python sketch, the Society for Putting Things on Top of Other Things. The Society for Putting Verbs on Top of Other Verbs.
Oh dear. Okay.
Thank you.
The reason for doing this is to add extra function or strict context or meaning. Now, if you think about it, there are hundreds of verbs, and you can in theory combine nearly all of them with each other. So there's at least 2,700 compound verbs. So we're not going to cover all of them today, I should tell you, unless you want me to. The basic construction is you take the polite form of the first verb, this is the mas form, and you remove the mas. So tabe mas becomes just tabe. And then you apply the thing, the second verb is the thing you're doing to that verb. You apply the second verb to the end. For example, tabe owarimasu, to finish eating. To finish eating. Tabe is to eat, owarimasu is to finish. Tokidoki, sometimes you can, the mass of this bit as well can be removed to make a noun. So for example, tabe owari means the completion of the food, the completion of the eating, the end of the dinner. Tabe owari. But that's just something you can do basically with any verb anyway. Are we okay so far, guys? That's the construction. That's the most important part. Mass form of the first verb, whole form of the second verb. Any questions? Cool. The next bit is just for interest. If you happen to be like Piotr or Simon, who are linguistics experts, you might want to understand what all the different compounds are. Now, there are basically 4 kinds of categories, and 2 of them are very similar anyway. The first one, this one here, this is to do with sequence or simultaneity. So you can use te or nagara to make two verbs either sequential or simultaneous. For example, if I said Tokyo ni itte sushi o tabemasu, this means I will go to Tokyo and I will eat sushi. Tokyo ni itte sushi o tabemasu. So I've used the te form to join the two verb statements together. Or I could say shokuji o tabe nagara terebi o mimasu. So while I'm eating food, I'm watching television. So this is basically a simplification of those two functions. To get rid of te or nagara, you can just join them together like this. For example, these aren't particularly common, I have to say, but I was just copying a website out. Asobu, to play, and skareru, to get tired, to hang out and to get tired. This would become, where was I? Who was the last person to answer? It was Joao, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. Annika, so how would you combine asobu and skareru? Guten Tag there.
Yeah. But it's not with the form of the verb.
So just make asobu into the mas form.
Asobimasu.
Yep. Remove the mas.
Asobi.
And then add skareru.
Asobi skareru.
Yeah. This just means basically getting tired from being drunk. Yeah. I'm bored of hanging out with you guys. I'm tired. I'm going home. Asobi tsukaremashita is what it means.
Okay.
Yeah. You could say asonde tsukaremashita as well. You could use the te form. But this is just a kind of more conversational way, is to use these compound verbs. Ikiru means to live, and nokoru means to remain. So these two together mean to survive, for example, a war. So, Andre, how would you combine these two?
Ikinokoru.
Yeah, exactly. Ikinokoru. So how would you say he survived the war?
戦争を生き残りました.
Yeah, exactly. Senso o ikinokorimashita. Something to bear in mind that the second verb, this is actually the main verb. This will dictate what the particle is going to be. So, for example, actually, honestly, I saw this and I thought, surely it depends. If you said, I'm going to Tokyo to eat sushi, this would be, oh no, this would be sushi or tabe ni ikimasu. Forget that idea. Right, on to the next one. You can have helping pairs as well. And again, some of these don't really make that much sense. Furi hajimeru, this means to start raining, to start falling. Furi hajimeru. So, Constantina, how would you say it has started raining?
Furi hajimemashita.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Ame ga fuji hajimemashita.
Yeah, ame ga furi hajimemashita. This word uru, this means to sell, and harao means to not only to pay, but to sweep. So this actually means to sell off something. For example, to sell off your old house so you can buy a new one. So this would become, Roger, how would you combine these two? Roger, you there? Oh, you're muted at the moment, by the way. There we go.
Uri haraimasu.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Uri haraimasu. Good. There's third category, which is reinforcing. So this is where the second verb by itself would actually be fine. It would do the job. But the first verb gives it a little bit more strength. So, for example, we've got toru and kesu. Kesu means to erase or to extinguish. And toru, of course, means to take. So by itself, if you want to talk about, for example, cancelling an event, you could just use kesu to erase an event. But if you say tori kesu, it gives a much more stronger meaning of to cancel. Toru and kesu becomes tori kesu, tori keshimasu. Another example, kowasu means to break, and butsu means it's the same as utsu, to hit. Uchi, utsu, butsu, kowasu. This means to strike and destroy something. So, Nasuka, how would you combine these together?
Buchi kowa kowashimasu?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly this. Buchi kowashimasu.
Buchi kowashimasu.
Yeah, good. And then the last type is where this actually creates basically a new verb from two fairly unrelated original verbs. So the two verbs individually don't really mean the final version, so it creates a new meaning. So, for example, the verb to calm down is made up of ochiru, to fall, and scoop, to reach, almost like coming down to earth. So neither falling nor hitting something sounds like calming down, but together, this is what it means. So, Taya, how would you combine these together then?
Ochi tsukeru.
Ochi tsukimasu.
Tsukimasu.
Tsukimasu. Ochi tsukimasu. Yeah. Utsu tokeru. Utsu tokeru. Utsu means to hit, and tokeru means to untie or to melt. And this means to break the ice. If you meet somebody for the first time and somebody introduces you and starts talking to help the two of you meet, this is what uchi tokeru means. So it means to hit and then to untie, to break the ice. So Tom, how would you make this into a compound?
Actually, you already said it, so ochitoku.
Oh, okay, sorry. Uchi tokeru. Yeah, uchi tokeru. Cool.
So,
sorry, Simon, go ahead.
I was just wondering, would you find some of these in the dictionary? I mean, the sort of the logical ones that you just put together, probably not, but some ones, those that actually create a new word and change their meaning, would you find those in the dictionary?
Yeah. You mean this last group here?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all in the dictionary. Yeah. So if you actually look up ochitsuku, this will almost certainly be there. Ochitsuku. Unless you've got sausage fingers like me and can't type properly. And utsu tokeru, so uchi tokeru. Also there.
Yeah.
And you have the one starting with the mi to mitsukeru, mi wakeru,
Yeah,
compound.
Exactly. So in fact, on the next, let's go to the next slide, guys, because we've got some common use ones. Now you've mentioned it. Oh, so that'd be a prefix, wouldn't it? So that's not part of those ones. Yeah, we'll go back to those ones actually, Joe, if you can remind me. So some really useful suffixes rather than the prefixes are these ones here. So naosu we did on Sunday, didn't we? Those of you that were there. Yari naosu, to do again. Naosu means to fix, but it just means to repeat something and do it better next time. So yari naosu, yaru meaning to do, or shi naosu from suru, and with naosu means to do it again. To do it again, probably meaning to do it a little bit better. Komu is also very commonly used to mean to enter, to go inside. Owaru, to finish. So if you want to say I finished doing something, just take the verb you're finishing and put owaru after it. Hajimeru or hajimaru, to begin to do something. Kaeru, this means to change rather than to return home. So this is the group 2 verb. And dasu, to put out. So, for example, a drawer on a desk is called a hikidashi, which comes from hikidasu. Hiki to pull and dasu to take out. So hikidashi. Now I've put this thing here. Can we create our own? I theorize that almost any logical pairing that you can think of probably exists in the dictionary. And we'll come back to that in a second. And while we're there, let's look at ni, as Joel said. Just a second. Because mi is also a really common prefix for this, isn't it, Joel? So ni wakeru comes from miru and wakeru. Wakeru in this case means to divide or to comprehend. So if you look this up in the dictionary, it makes sense, doesn't it? You look at something and you divide it to distinguish. Kim, where's our wine? There's no point you sitting there drinking it if we can't have it. To recognize. What's that, water? Is that what we've got? Oh, thanks. You're so kind.
So that's why you don't have it.
What's the other one you said, Kim? Joel, sorry? Mikairu.
Mitsukeru.
Mitsukeru. Oh, yeah, Mitsukeru. Mitsukeru. So again, this is made from miru and skeru. So, of course, again, miru means to look, skeru means to apply or stick. So you're looking for something and you see it and your eyes stick to it. So it means to find, to discover. Mitsukeru. Mikairu, have you heard of this one before? Let's see if it's in there. Mikairu. To look around, I think. To look back. To look back.
Many of those verbs are mentioned to be rare.
Yeah, but mi wakeru and mitsukeru, I would say, are not. They're actually, mitsukeru is like the only way you can say to find something. Yeah, I don't know how this rating is actually set, because sometimes on AE Dict it will say common, and I'll think I've never seen this before in my life, and then it will say rare, and it's like we always use this. Yeah.
That's my reference, whether I use the word or not.
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, especially doing Budo, lots of the words we use are absolutely archaic and don't mean the same thing now as they originally did. So we'll probably end up saying some slightly archaic Japanese, but what the hell?
Can I ask something?
Of course.
Sorry. Before we said the uchu plus tokeru, it was uchi tokiru or uchi tokemasu.
Yeah.
You said what it means to hit?
It means to break the actual original meaning of the parts. You mean? Uchi means to hit. Oh, the final version.
No, the final version.
It means to break the ice, to be open and frank.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah.
Sorry, because I already wrote it down wrongly. Thank you.
Okay. It says in the dictionary to be frank doesn't mean the person frank.
To open one heart to be.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Frank. No, I want to be Frank. Uchi toketai desu. Okay. Let's go back to the slide. So here we've got a few others which are quite commonplace. So this is actually demonstrates the usefulness of komu. So morsu means, this is the polite word to say. And if you say morshi komi, komu means to put in. This is an application or to apply for something. So the word application form is morshi komi sho, sho meaning writing. Moshikomi sho. What else have we got here? Andre, I might need some help here. Yurekomu or something?
Isn't that first
I think it's
abareru?
apareru.
One more time, one of you.
Abareru.
Abare, thank you. Abare komu, to enter some place and suddenly and violently. Cool.
Sorry.
No. I want you to if you know these, shout out. This one. I didn't learn all these by myself.
Donaru or something.
Let's just quickly chuck this in to translate. Donari kom. Donari. It says donaru. Donari komu. Donari komu. This is nagaru, I think, isn't it, Andre? Nagaru. Nageri. Nagaru, isn't it? Nagaru. Or nage. Nageru or nageru. Nageru, isn't it? Just quickly check. Yeah, no. Nagaru kamoshiranae ne. Nagaru.
Naguru.
Oh, naguru. Thank you. Naguru. Yeah. Naguri. Nagari komu, to make a raid someplace. Naguri. Naguru. This is saso, I think. Yeah.
Saso.
Yeah. Sasoi komu, to lure in. This means to invite. Saso. Sasoi komu. And marumeru. Marumeru.
Marumeru.
And marume komu, to sweet talk. Okay, so actually, without even knowing it, you guys are constantly using these compound verbs. Can I come off this slide now? All good? Okay. You're constantly using compound verbs. You just may not know it. For example, nukitsuke, kirioroshi, or kiritsuke, however you want to pronounce this. Kiritsuke, yeah. What else was there?
Fumikomi.
Fumikomi, yeah, good. Fumikomi. And then we can go through all the names of the forms. Ukinagashi.
Makiotoshi.
Makiotoshi, good, yeah. No, not Skate. Tsuki, Sampogiri, Kamenate, Soitazuki, Sampogiri, Shiogiri. Nukiuchi. No, Metsuke is not one. Most Jodo things got these in as well.
Uchiotoshi?
Yeah, good, yeah. Uchiotoshi. Makiotoshi.
Uchiotoshi?
Uchiotoshi, yeah. Uchiotoshi. Kuritsuke. Kurihanashi. Yeah, so we already used loads and loads of these. Furimawasu. What's a suburi?
Sayabiki.
Sai is a noun, isn't it? So.
Alfella.
Yeah. I made the same mistake. I said chiburi. It's like no, chi isn't a verb. Kensaburi. No, kirisaburi. So there's loads of them. We already used kirisaburi for. We already used them quite a lot. Ready for some exercises, guys? Junbi taisou shimashou. Who was the last person to answer? Might have been you, Taya.
I think it was Tom.
Oh, was it Tom?
But you already said the answer.
Oh, okay. In that case, Kim, you're next.
No.
Tom's not there, so it has to go to you next. As Tanaka-san is waiting for you, when you've finished eating, could you go and meet him, please?
Oh boy, so many subclauses and so Tanaka-san is doing something while you are going to finish.
This is a justification here only. So this, you can start the sentence with this, but this is because Tanaka-san is waiting for you.
Tanaka-san, あなたと? No.
So
no,
usually it's or for this kind of waiting on something. But actually, just to get us straight into conversation, if you just said Tanaka-san is waiting, then it implies that he's waiting for you, depending on the context, of course. So you can say Tanaka-san.
Or
no. He is waiting, not he is waiting for him. Tanaka-san, he's the subject of the sentence.
Ga.
Yeah.
Tanaka-san ga. Because was.
We need waiting.
Kara, I think. Motsu.
Not Motsu, but close. It's the other one.
Matsu.
So he is waiting would be.
Matte imasu kara.
Very good. Yes.
Yes. Now it's sometimes it just sounds correct. I don't know why it is, but.
Well, it's because
correct.
It's because you've done some practice, and things that you've practiced a few times will come out and feel right. And to be honest, I would say that my level of what's it called, fluency, doesn't rely on me calculating every single word in a sentence. I just say phrases that I've said before. They just come out naturally because that's the way they sound. Yeah, like I'm doing now in English.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Tanaka-san ga matte imasu kara. Tabe owatta toki.
Good.
Go and meet.
This isn't a compound verb. Let me just state this.
No, but it's iku to and no.
Go and meet. Think about go and eat, as we've done before. For example, go to eat some sushi. Sushi o tabe.
Ikimasu.
Yeah, tabe ni ikimasu.
Tabe ni. No. So
yes, you do.
Now it is
on Sunday evenings, like 5 months in a row. We've used it.
So now it's is it the must form? Machi.
Meat is.
Meat is. Au.
The sound you make when you meet somebody ballistically.
We. Damn it. I must.
Good.
I need. Iki.
Please go.
Please. Itte kudasai.
Very good. Yes, good. Can you read it again, Kim?
Tanaka-san ga matte imasu kara. tabe owatta toki ai ni ite kudasai.
Very good. Excellent. Good.
And at least the I ni, it's the owl.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the.
Okay. To go and do something, for example.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, you remember. Does everybody else know this?
Yes,
Yeah.
but actually I'm still getting a bit confused when you say go and meet. You can either use I ni ite or I ni iku, or you can combine them with the te form. But I always get confused which one you can use in which sense. You can say ite kimasu or ite tabemasu.
So when we use the te form with joining verbs in a sentence, this basically means a sequence rather than a purpose. So, for example, if you said, just as a kind of example, Tokyo, no, that's not Tokyo. Let's just say tabete ikimasu, for example. This actually means eat and then go. So this is actually the wrong order. But if you want to say to go for the purpose of eating, now without using tameni or anything like this, you can just say tabe ni ikimasu. I'm going to eat, or going to meet. Of course, this is I ni ikimasu. And generally, this ikimasu, this can be ikimasu or kimasu, to come and do something. But these are the only two verbs you can really put here, to go and do something or to come and do something. For example, you could say to your friend, asobi ni kite kudasai. Please come and play. Please come and hang out. So it's either going to be kuru or iku. These are the only two combinations, really. But the thing that you're going to do, you turn into the mass form, but ni after it. Annika?
So if I say ite tabemasu, would mean go and then eat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tokyo ni ite tabemasu. I will go to Tokyo and eat. Yeah. Is that okay, Simon?
Yeah, but the meaning is rather similar to tabe ni ikimasu. If you say ite tabemasu.
It's basically exactly the same.
Right.
It's just that it's making the going the purpose of the previous verb. So I'm going to do something. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Kelly, when the lecture has finished, Suzuki-san will call you in. Now, this might be, you may not know this, it's a compound verb, but we'll find it. We'll find it.
Dict says that lecture is kogi.
Kogi, yeah, good.
Kogi ga owaru.
But it's when the lecture has finished, when it's already finished.
Ga owatte.
Owatta. And then you can either say toki to make it when, or this whole thing could be, and actually I'd recommend using this form, owattara. Use the tara to mean when this has happened.
Okay. Kogi ga owattara, Suzuki-san. Can you use kara? No.
No, Suzuki-san. So he's going to do it. So he'll be Suzuki-san. He's now the subject of the sentence.
Kogi ga owattara, Suzuki-san ga.
Okay. Now call you in. Let's think. What could this be made? We could either search through Google Translate to try and find the answer, or we can maybe try and work out what it is. So call you is.
It's like phoning? No.
Not phoning, just like a verbal call.
Don't know.
This is yobu. And then you're going to enter. So this would be hairu. So this together as a compound verb would be
yobi hairimasu.
Yeah, let's leave it in the plain form for now. and look on your dictionary and see if it exists. And maybe it's the right one. No. Unless I spelled it wrong. Yobi Hairu.
It says no results.
Yeah, that's what
It's actually Yobikomu.
Oh, Yobikomu. Yobikomu.
Yobikomu.
Oh, really? Okay, Yobikomu.
To call in, to invite, to bring
cool.
in.
Excellent. There we go. Example as to how common komu is Yobikomu then. So that's just in brackets. So therefore, the final word would be
Yobikomimasu.
Yes, good. Yobikomimasu. Cool. Kim, this doesn't really indicate who he's calling in. It just says he will call in. He will call somebody in. So how would you make it a little bit clearer that he's going to call you in? Somebody's actually saying this to you. When the lecture is finished, Suzuki-san will call you in. So how is that person going to indicate that he's going to call you in? And you can't use anata o.
No.
No. Sorry.
And anata. Or you mean some even not anata?
You can't use anata. You might use the person's name. He could. The one way to say this, if I was going to say this to Kelly, would be kogi ga owattara Suzuki-san ga Kelly-san o yobikomimasu. Okay, so this is one way to actually put the person's name in. This is the right way to do it, really. But there's another way of making it clearer that he's going to do this for you. He's going to do it for you. Any ideas, anybody? You can speak up if you know the answer.
With agemasu?
Yeah, exactly. So how would you change this then, Annika?
Yobi agem.
Oh, sorry.
Agemasu?
Sorry, let's go right there. Yobi. So you still need yobikomu there.
Yobikomu agemasu?
This needs to be the te form, doesn't it?
Yobikomu agete?
No, need the te form of yobikomu.
Yobikonde. Yobikonde agemasu?
Yes, exactly. Yobikonde agemasu. This means he will give you the calling in. He will give you the calling in. Yeah. Excellent. Good. Okay. Can you read that, please, Kelly?
Kogi ga owattara Suzuki-san ga yobikonde arimasu.
Excellent. Good. And then David, please wait 5 minutes. I would like to ask the section chief to reread your application. You don't have to look up and see an eagle.
Oh dear. Let's see, 5 minutes. Golfen or matte kudasai.
Good.
I would like to ask the section chief. Section chief, there was a list of positions somewhere.
We'll call this catch-all.
Catch-all. Okay. Catch-all. Oof. I'm blanking on this one.
All right, so think about this. Think about the last lesson. This means I'm going to ask the catch-all to reread I want the catch-all to reread your application. I want him to read it.
Onegai shitai?
Yeah, it's kind of, you could do this, but there's a much more compact way of saying this. I want you to read it. How would you say, I want you to read it? We did it like an hour ago.
Yonde hoshii desu?
Yeah, yonde. So you know that this sentence is going to finish with yonde hoshii desu.
Yonde hoshii desu.
So that's dealt with. Sorry, give me a second. In this sentence, that's dealt with. Come on. This part. That's now complete. You now need to fill in the rest of it. So kacho, what's going to be the particle for kacho?
Ni.
No, neither of those. You're saying you're going to get him, ask him, you want him to do something, so it would be kacho ga. Make him the subject. Yeah. Okay. Reread your application.
Ooh. Application is
Can anybody help
Shinsei?
David? No.
No.
Can anybody help David?
Moshikomi.
Moshikomi. Good. Okay, so David, the bit I do want you to do though is going to be to reread. To read one more time. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Moshikomi?
Oh, this means application.
Application. Oh. Okay. So read is yomu.
Yeah, that's already there. But so we've got yonde hoshides, but I want him to read it again.
I've almost got it. It's just not clicking into place.
Okay. Important to make notes during the lesson, by the way, guys.
Yep.
So how do you say to do something again? Anybody?
You combine yomu with naosu.
Good. So yomu plus naosu.
Naosu to fix?
Yeah,
Was it a different naosu?
I did explain it like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Naosu with any verb means to do it again, to repeat it. And it has the kind of inference that by doing it twice, you're going to make it better. You'll do it better second time around.
Okay. So yomi naosu.
So,
actually, I can get it on my dictionary.
You can't find it?
No.
I mean, it's naosu just goes on to any verb really.
Okay.
Edict says that it's yomi kaesu.
Yomi kaesu, that's what I
Okay.
get.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yomi naosu is fine, honestly.
Okay.
I know this because I've heard people use it.
Moshikomi or yomi naosu.
Yomi naosu, but it's not going to be naosu, but now.
Naoshimasu. No,
there's going to be hoshides at the end, so we need to do this form of
naoshite.
Naoshite. Yeah, yomi naoshite hoshides. Yeah, good. Kacho ga moshikomi o yomi naoshite hoshides. Okay, can you read that, David?
5分を待ってください。課長が申し込みを読み直してほしいです。
Excellent, good. Simon, if you look up, you can see an eagle. It's quite topical where you are, isn't it?
We have lots of hawks here, but
hawks.
not, eagles, not so many.
Oh, okay.
A bit further up the mountains. If you look up, so I would guess that it's something with ageru, which is raising, and miru, so mi ageru, maybe.
Have a look. Maybe this is the answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mi ageru, to look up,
Good.
to raise one's eyes. Right? So if you look up, can you say miagereba?
Yep,
or something
good.
like that.
Miagereba. Yep.
Yeah, and then the eagle
is washi.
Washi, or
not to be confused with wani, which is crocodile, which would be funny to see if you looked up and you saw a crocodile.
Washiga, wani, yeah, crocodile, right? Washiga, mi Miemas.
This.
Right.
Miyagereba, washi ga miemasu. Perfect. Good. Can you read it again, Simon?
Miyagereba washi ga miemasu.
Excellent. Good. Joel, you've got a considerably longer one. Have you already done one just now?
Sorry?
Just the orders swap around a bit. You haven't been already, have you?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
So I would think reconsider here is the one that we should use.
Yeah. Actually, this is also, here's another compound as well.
Yeah, moshikomi, yes.
Yeah.
I would go with like something like kangaeru and naosu or something like
Good.
that.
Okay. So have you looked this up already?
No, but kangaeru is to consider. So, and
Good.
because before you said that naosu is to do again, so I would go with these two.
And I'm pretty sure that this is in the dictionary. Let's have a quick look.
Yes, it is.
Right. It is good. There we go.
Yeah, it is.
Kangai naosu, to reconsider. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So, この申し込みを考え直してください。Now, この人は、I don't know how to say suitable.
There's a few ways, but one way that I do know, which works quite well, is tekito. Tekito.
この人は適当と思いますが、and experience, I don't know how to say it. 経験. So この人は適当と思いますが、もっとたくさん、経験あります。
Yes, good. 経験あります。Excellent, good. この申し込みを考え直してください。この人は適当と思いますが、たくさん経験があります。Can you read it again, please, Joel?
この申し込みを考え直してください。この人は適当と思いますが、たくさん経験があります。
Sorry, I misspelled that 直してね。考え直して。Good. Okay. Annika, as this is easy to do, I will finish cooking in about an hour. Speaking of which, just give me 1 minute. I'm going to turn some meat over. Just a second. Tadaima, ramen no tame ni chashu porkを作ってます。Yummy, yummy, yummy. Unless you're vegetarian, might tell you.
簡単ですから、一時I'm not sure about but finish cooking.
Let's do this study then. So for 1 hour, so ichiji just means 1 o'clock. How do we turn this into a duration?
Ichiji kan.
Good. And then after, ichiji kan, and then about approximately?
Gurai.
Gurai.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, gurai. And then to say this in about, so you're saying basically after about 1 hour, I will finish cooking. A really smart way to do this isn't to say ichijikan gurai no ato de or ato ni. You can do away with all this by just saying made.
Kantan desu kara 1 時間ぐらいまで料理をし終わる終わります。Yeah.
Good. Yeah, shiwarimasu. Good. This is fine. As it's easy to do, you can say kantan desu kara. How would you say it is easy to do though, rather than it is simple? It is easy to do.
It was with yasui with
Yeah.
combining shiyasui desu kara.
Yeah, so これがしやすいですから. And then the rest of it, if you can just read that out as well.
Yeah. これがしやすいですから1時間ぐらいまで料理をし終わります。
Very good. Excellent. Good. Andre, I'm sorry for any mistakes in this letter. I'll rewrite it when I have some time.
この手紙の誤りでごめんなさい。
Yep. I will rewrite it when I have time.
時間があるなら書き直します。
Very good. 書き直します。Excellent. この手紙誤りでごめんなさい。Isn't ayamaru to apologize?
Yes, but if you write it as a noun, ayamari, I think it means mistake.
Oh, really?
Let me check Google. Let me check iEdict.
Okay. You sure it's not an apology?
No, it has it as
yeah, I can see. Yeah, ayamaru to make a mistake. Yeah. And it's just different kanji, isn't it?
It's the same kanji, but if it's ayamari, it means mistake. But ayamaru is to apologize.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool. You learn something new every day, don't you?
Is there a difference between ayamari and machigai?
I don't think. I was also thinking that to put machigai in here, which would be also completely fine. Yeah. Yeah. So ayamari or machigai is mistaken. Thanks, Andre.
Actually, it shows excuse apology as rare, right? So
yeah. I mean, if you type in ayamari,
right.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is though, if you type in ayamaru as a verb, it says both of them are frequent. So I'm not really sure how they actually distinguish on AEDICT whether something is rare, frequent, or common. I think it might not be a perfect algorithm. It might just be the number of times that people have searched for it on AEDICT. Okay, good. And Konstantina? This cake is quite delicious. I will try to make it better next time.
Okay. They're quite delicious. How can the quite? Quite.
We've got some adverbs stored somewhere, I think, haven't you?
Marude?
Could be. The one I always think of for quite is, anybody got anything else before I say mine?
Naka?
Naka. Yeah, naka.
Naka.
Yeah.
Hontoni.
Yeah, really, yeah, hontoni oishii. Yeah.
Okay. このケイコ
Keiko?
はケイキI'm dreaming about cake. このケーキ How do you say nakanaka?
Like that, you say nakanaka, just as the way you said it, nakanaka.
And we have to connect the oishi. So we connect na adjective and I adjective.
Na adjective? Where's there a na adjective?
No, it's not the quiet. No, it's not.
Nakanaka is just an adverb.
Okay. Oishi desu. Oishi desu. Try to make shugu next time.
I would say kondo.
Okay. Kondo no.
Kondo no. Kondo. Kondo you can just use by itself to make a time reference. You can say kondo. Okay. You don't really use kondo ni. You just use kondo by itself.
Okay. The sugu is the next in order. Not
tsugu. Sorry, I heard sugu. Tsugi. Yeah. So you can use tsugi ni is one option, or kondo as the other option.
Okay, let's go with the kondo. I try to make it better. Okay. To make it, so I'm gonna use the now shu, and let me check on my date.
How do you say make? What's make?
Chukuru.
Tsukuru and naosu, so you can easily make this without checking.
Chuki naoshimasu.
Nearly, just think again. Tsukuru.
Chukuri naoshimasu.
Very good. Naoshimasu. Okay, so this will be at the end of the sentence. Kondo. And then to make it, I will try to make it better. Or just say, to make it more delicious. As a adverb.
Moto.
Moto and deliciously.
Moto oishiku.
Very good. Moto oishiku tsukuri naoshimasu. Good. Oishiku. Yeah, good. There's other ways we can say I will try. Guys, you should remember a few weeks ago we did to make an attempt or to try to do something. As time is ticking, I won't go into this now, but
with the yoni. No.
Yeah, yoni or tesuru. Shio tosuru. Yeah.
I didn't even think about it, sorry.
Roger? On this part of the kata, can you see this, by the way, because I've just shifted the text up? Yeah, okay. Yeah. On this part of the kata, you have to drag your opponent down before doing the final downward cut.
Kono.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Kono.
Bun no kata.
Kono kata no bun.
Kata no bun.
Yeah. And as this is a time reference, we should put ni here. Okay, so we're now going to make, some of you might know this already actually, this technique to drag your opponent down. So when I say drag, what's a more common word for drag? Anybody?
Ikizuru.
Hiku.
Hiku.
Yeah, good. And then Roger, can you look up collapse in the dictionary?
Hawkeye.
One more time.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. That's somebody from the Avengers.
Ikitaoshu.
Taosu. Yeah, so that's right. So yeah, Teo, you said Taosu. You said Taoru. So we've got Taosu. One more time, Roger.
Kuzeru.
So Kazushi, yeah. But Taoru is what we'll use here. We use Taoru. But Taoru, is this a transitive or intransitive verb?
Taoru is intransitive.
Right, so Taosu is probably going to be the transitive. I think if you look, it should be.
Taosu, yes.
Yeah. So we've got hiku and taosu. So this becomes. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Taya.
Yes. It would be hiki taoshimasu.
Yes, good. And this is actually, so everybody here is Shinden or Jikiden, aren't you? Yeah. This in Chuden, when you do these things where you use the sword to drag people across, yeah, this is, so in Jikiden, you do a cross, this is probably maybe not Hiki Taoshi, maybe Hiki Taoshimasu, but definitely in Shinden, you pull them down. This is called Hiki Taoshi. Go ahead, Kim. Oh, you got two, don't you? Yeah, you've got one that goes down and one that goes across, haven't you?
Yeah. The first one we do that you pull them down, and the other one is pull them across.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I recognize it.
Yeah, Hiki Taoshi. Yeah.
And the pulling across.
I don't know. It might, because they're actually falling on the floor when you do that. That might also be Hiki Taoshi, or maybe Hiki Haori to sweep across. I don't know. I don't know.
We discussed that, the difference between the two. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Probably Yuki-san knows.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, very sure.
Yeah. So this is actually happening, Roger, at the end of the sentence, though, isn't it? So I'll make a bit of space.
Okay, so
before doing the final downward cut. When I say final downward cut, this is actually one word in Iaido, of course.
Kiriotosh?
Yep, okay, kiriotosu. But before doing the final cut, so it'll be kiriotosu.
Mai.
And as it's a time reference, mai.
Ni.
Very good. Oh, look at that. We've almost halved the length of the sentence. Yay. Okay, let's quickly get on to the. I've actually run out of examples, but Taya and Naska, let's make some sort of funny example.
One question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Annika. Sorry.
Because where you write, you have to drag your opponent down. Hiki taoshi nakereba narimasen.
Very good. Hiki taoshi na hiki taoshi. Yep, hiki taoshi. Hiki tao. Okay. What is this? How do you make this obligative?
Taosa nakereba narimasen.
Very good. Yes, hiki taosa nakereba narimasen. Very good.
Andy-san.
Hi, dozo.
I think it would be better to use kiri oros in this case. Because
yeah, go ahead.
If you do kendo or kenjutsu, then it's actually two different techniques, like kiri oros and kiri otosu. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We normally call this kiriroshi, and it says kiriroshi. Although I do know that some teachers do call this kiriotosu as well in Iaido.
Yeah.
Some
usually in kenjutsu it's the technique used in the Itoryu system.
Yeah.
Kiriotoshi.
Like
kiriotoshi.
A bit like kirimasubi, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it like hikiotoshi that you're cutting the person's sword away? So.
Yeah.
No,
sure.
It's like two people cutting together, and the guy who keeps the swords at the center position wins.
Yeah.
That's kiriotoshi.
Yeah.
It's in Tachiuchi no Kurai, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Taya. I will have another look at your research paper after I have drunk this very strong booze. I was trying to think of something you say, and apart from that last part, the rest of it is probably quite like you, isn't it? Hey, quickly! I've got my dinner waiting for me.
Motto tsuyoi
Just tsuyoi.
Osake.
Tsuyoi. Maybe this strong osake.
Kono tsuyoi osake. Osake ni.
Osake
no.
Osake. What are you going to do to it?
Sake o. Nonda.
To make this is good, but to make this sequential, then nonda kara.
Yeah, nonda kara. Or nondara.
Or nondara, yeah.
Nondara. Research by Kenkyu.
I don't know what research paper is. Anybody
I don't know what's a paper.
I'm going to say shorui. I'm going to say documents. Research documents. Shorui.
Okay, Kenkyu shoru. Oh.
While Tay is doing this, can somebody look up research paper, please? I'm just interested. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tay. Mi
naoshimasu.
Very good. Mi naoshimasu. Excellent. Nasuka.
Research paper. Now I'm bothered.
Kenkyu hokoku.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
that sounds familiar.
Kenkyu hokoku.
Hokoku.
Right.
Hokoku.
I think we've actually mentioned this word in these lessons before. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's report.
Hokoku sounds like report.
Hokoku, yeah.
Right. Nasuka. I will relearn this lesson later because Andy is difficult to understand. Hey, dozo.
Difficult to understand. Will it be with Nikui?
Yep.
And to relearn will be with those like reread or it was.
Yeah. So in this case, I would recommend the word. I mean, we can use benkyo, but this means to study. To learn is narao or
narao or manabu.
Yeah, manabu, exactly. These days, most people use narao, not so much manabu.
はい。アンディさんは理解しにくいので、このレッスンを、このレッスンを、習い勉強し。
And that, so we want this now so, don't we?
習い直します。
Yes, good. Yeah, and then if you want to say later, you can say この lesson を you can say 後で。
今度。後で。
Or mata. Mata is also good for just saying after later. Mata. I will learn it again. Mata narai naoshimasu.
Can I ask? Can you say wakari nikui?
There's a mistake.
Okay, so let's do the mistake first, then I'll answer Taya. Go ahead, Nasuka.
Not shinukui or but shinikui. There's one letter wrong. Ni. Shi ni.
Oh, sorry, yeah, nikui. Thank you. Shinikui. Okay, this is actually funny, Taya. This means Andy is difficult to understand as a person. If you say rikai shinikui, so wakari nikui is better. Yeah. It sounds like.
I don't understand anybody.
Oh no, this. I mean, this would be this would make some sense. But the difference between rikai suru, rikai means to comprehend, and wakaru means to understand. If you say somebody is difficult to comprehend, it means they're a bit funny, difficult to understand what kind of person they are. But if you want to say that somebody's difficult to understand what they're saying, then you say wakari nikui desu. Wakari nikui. Yeah. This does the job though. This is fine. In fact, I am difficult to comprehend.
Okie dokie.
I don't speak human.
I don't understand humans. Okay, any questions, guys?
Andy, in the sentence of the please reconsider this application in the buff, could we have used instead of the ga, the to, because it's and he has a lot of experience?
Yeah.
But he has a lot of. I thought Sunday you said the to connect as more as an and.
You could use
or
this.
Doesn't work.
Well, to be honest, I think it would work. I think what is normally used though would be tomoimasu. To be honest, ga, but not a hard ga, but nga, like tomoimasu ga takusan keiken ga arimasu is what most people would say, or tomoimasu. And then just to make this so it's not a but, sono ue ni, on top of that, sono or additionally.
Because it's a plus point if I read the.
Just remembered a lesson I just watched from Miku Sensei. To omoimasu shi takusan keiken ga arimasu. There's a whole lesson on this sheet. I recommend it. It's really easy. Yeah, just this is a better way to do it. Omoimasu shi. This means additionally, and you can use it on verbs. You can use it on adjectives. You can use it on nouns. Okay, any other questions, guys? Right, I'm going because I'm hungry. A bientôt.
Itadakimasu. Mata ne.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
ありがとうございました。